very good evening to all of you, and we'd really like to thank all of you to be part of the first ever Millennium Campaign Lecture Series being organized anywhere in the world.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's been a delight and a pleasure for us to be part of this. We at WIPOL are very, very proud of a really august set of guests. Over the next 2 days, beginning today and going into tomorrow, you will listen to 10 of India's brightest, most erudite, most intelligent minds, really talking about one key idea. Can we bring a larger perspective to the battle against poverty? We wanted to, at WIPOL, take the battle against poverty away from what we in India call the Jholawalas. And for Sarah, the Jholawala means the traditional NGO sector. We wanted to take it away from there. So we have an extremely mixed bag for you. My colleague Shweta will tell you who they are.
Well, we'll start with Mr. Gopalkrishna Gandhi. We'd like to request him to give us the inaugural lecture on how can India fight poverty. Of course, he is the Mahatma's grandson. He has been former governor of Bengal, and of course, it's been a privilege to have him with us. Mr. Gandhi.
I'm not sure whether I should thank you for that introduction, because in a way, it defined me by everything that I'm not. I'm not a Jholawala, and as to your descriptions of the series of speakers as the brightest and most erudite, they I'm sure are, but I would have liked you to check with my school teachers. They would have disagreed with you very, very strongly. Now, if I was to start this evening with 1,000 years ago, each one of you might want to doze off, except the historically inclined. If I were to start with 10 years ago, each one might actually begin doing that, including the historically inclined. So a millennium and something that happened only 1 decade ago share this in common. Both belong to the past and both stand forgotten. Ask someone from government or from a UN-supported NGO to name in 10 seconds any event in history that took place exactly a millennium ago, you might draw a blank. Ask someone outside government and UN-supported NGOs to say in several times 10 seconds what Millennium Development Goals are, and you could get many answers, including, isn't that the name of a park near the Victoria Memorial in Kolkata? Now, few beyond those whose work it has become to think millennium, plan millennium reviews, annual, quarter term, half term, 3/4 term, those who organize millennium audits, nudge millennium deliverers, cajole millennium media, prod millennium agencies, remind millennium desk officers in millennium offices to take millennium goals an inch forward on the slippery scale of millennium targets. Those who fund millennium NGOs, breathe millennium, fume millennium, revive millennium, try to make millennium neutral people excited about millennium, try to make millennium skeptics defend the millennium spirit, try to generate millennium enthusiasm in the growing numbers of millennium ignorant people, and those who organize millennium lectures by distinguished ex-ministers and extinguished ex-governors as part of a millennium campaign. Few apart from these truly millennium people have even one moment for the millennium mill. I tried this morning that last resort of columnists looking for subjects and speakers hunting for ideas, which was to chat up a scooter driver at a traffic signal. Millennium Development Goals. Have you heard of Millennium Development Goals? I asked him through my window in the car. It meant, of course, nothing to him, but that phonation, the middle name, development, struck a vague chord. He heard it wrong, but in a sense, he heard it absolutely right. He said, employment? Then, as his vehicle and the one I was in moved forward, millennium employment, millennium development, all fused into a cloud of gas. Now, few fewer even know that only 10 years ago, something quite extraordinary took place. Unfortunately for its extraordinariness, that extraordinary something took place in the very predictable and therefore ordinary precincts of the UN headquarters in New York. And yet, extraordinarily for our short of time times, extraordinarily for our short of temper and short of vision times, there took place this that I have called the thing. That heads of state and heads of government from 189 countries of the world should have left their shores, some risking coups d'etat at home, some mindful of death threats, some wanting to show their jaded populations back home something new, like a new vision, some only worried without letting it show about their placement in the group picture of all the leaders at the conclusion. But all of them, without exception, eager to find in the turn of the millennium the magic of a new spirit. For them to have come together to discuss not the wrongdoing of a superpower or the ill luck of the powerless infra, not the misdeeds real or imagined of their neighbor, but the future across the whole of our panting planet of nothing less than the human condition of extreme poverty in its millennial miseries and millennial opportunities is extraordinary. That these persons of status and of stature should have deliberated the issues of poverty, peace and justice for 3 days and spoken thereafter at the plenary, curbing the practice long ingrained in them of long public speeches and curbing too their speechwriters' egos, and having spoken for just 5 minutes each to accommodate every delegation and give everyone a chance to participate is equally extraordinary. But the most extraordinary achievement of that summit was the evolving and the unveiling of the Millennium Declaration. Crafted with care as well as spontaneity, with wisdom as well as compassion, the Millennium Declaration is a masterpiece of intention and of accomplishment. The authors of that document, its hands-on draftspersons, remain unacknowledged in the best traditions of self-effacing ghostwriting. But the then Secretary General will long be remembered for his catalytic role in the birth of that millennial document. And if we in India may be permitted pardonable parochialism, so will the then Director of Communications in the UN and then Executive Assistant to the Secretary General, Shashi Tharoor. Today we must recall and register their contribution. But if the soft-spoken and deeply introspective U Thant had been Secretary General of the United Nations in the year 2000, he would have found the Millennium Summit and the Millennium Declaration deeply fulfilling. U Thant was a just man and would have liked to see the scope of justice in the world enhanced. U Thant was also a pious Buddhist. The Burmese Theravadin in him would have warmed to the summit's crystallizing of its thoughts into 8 chapters and the adoption of 8 millennium goals for one special circumstantial reason. That octet, 8 in 8, would have rung a monastic bell 8 resounding times in his mind, for it would have reminded him of another schemata of 8-fold imperatives, the noble 8-fold path set out by Gautama the Buddha. But he might have just reflected, adjusting his very clean bifocals on one essential difference. The 8 Millennium Development Goals to be achieved by 2015 begin, each of them, with a verb, a very transitive verb, rather like the 10 Commandments, with the difference that these are positives, thou shalt, not thou shalt nots. They are eradicate, achieve, promote, reduce, improve, combat, ensure, develop.